Sorare is a platform where there are multiple ways to be successful. Whether you have a massive budget and you can buy loads of cards, or whether you have little to no budget at all, you can still have fun on the platform and actually do pretty well with the potential to make some money. In today's video, we'll be showcasing different methods you can use depending on a variety of budgets to be successful in Sorare, from people with £1,000 plus to people who only have 20 quid or even nothing. We'll cover it all today. So without further ado, let's get right into it, shall we? Don't forget, if you do enjoy this video, to hit the like button and subscribe. We've recently hit 200 subscribers. If we can keep that going, that would be great. If you enjoy Sorare content, then why not hit the subscribe button? Hopefully you'll find this channel useful. Let me know what methods you use on Sorare down below, and remember, if you are going to join Sorare and you haven't yet, use my link in the description so that when you sign up and buy 5 cards off the new card auctions market, you'll get a free card added to your account. It's a win situation for you, and of course it supports the channel. If you're not going to use my affiliate link, then use someone else's. But with that being said, let's get into our first budget, which we're going to call under £20. Of course, at this budget point, you are limiting some of your options in Sorare, but you can still do pretty well on the platform. You aren't going to be able to afford the best of cards, but there are a few things that you can do to get your account going in the right direction. And the first thing is to make sure you're doing the casual and the academy leagues. Yes, there is the small chance that you could win big and come first in the world and get great rewards, but that isn't the point. That's very unlikely. You just want to be building up your club with as many cards as possible in the common divisions. These will be useful later on when you try and make money in the academy area, and it's also a great way to understand Sorare. You can see in my time I've managed to acquire Neymar and Donnarumma amongst many other names, and these will help eventually if you try and make money through the academy divisions. But that's not what we're going to cover today. If you do have £20 or so, you are limited to your options, as I said, but you can still trade with some of the cheaper limited cards that you're hoping will go up in the future. Now, the chances of you buying a player for £1 and him going on to cost £1,000 is very, very unlikely. But if you want to invest in younger players, or even look for players who haven't broken to their first team yet, when eventually they do, they might earn you a profit. Now, this doesn't have to be a young player, and there's plenty of ways that you can trade in Sorare, which we covered in the last video. Injured players, so on and so forth, are great ways to make money. Ideally, you're looking to purchase cards who currently aren't doing very well and aren't valued very highly, in the hopes, or at least have some knowledge, that they will eventually get back into the first team or get their first team opportunity again, at which point they'll start to pick up more points, and in turn their average prices will increase. Of course, everything I say in this video isn't the only way that you can be successful in Sorare. I'm not saying that, I'm just trying to give my advice of what I do. But for cards under £20, you're not going to be playing a very high risk game, you're not going to lose too much, and you also won't gain too much either, but there is certainly the potential there for you to make some profit on cards. Take this guy for example. I did not buy him as an investment, but actually to be part of my AZ Alkmaar team. He cost me £16 about a month ago, and you will see only a couple weeks ago he was in that £35 region, near enough doubling what I paid on him 1 month before. That's because he made it into the first team for AZ Alkmaar. As they are a pretty dominant side, he started to play well, and since we've seen his price go up, and there's plenty of opportunities like that on the market. You've just got to do your research, be diligent, and try and find the right players. Like I say, for under £20, you're not running too much of a risk, and you're also not going to have major successes, but you can certainly get your account moving in the right direction through trading. For our next budget bracket, we're going to be looking at around £100 or a little bit less, and what you can do with that kind of cash in Sorare. Well, it's not too different to the under £20 region. You'll still be doing the same things, playing the casual and the academy divisions. You'll also be trading with cards, investing in them when they're not doing too well, in the hopes they do better in the future. I didn't cover this, by the way, but you want to use Sorare data to find these kinds of cards. It will really help you out. There's plenty of tools on the site in the scouting section to help find the right kind of players to invest in. If you want a full video on that, let me know in the comments and I'll do one in the future, but a lot of you guys will already know about Sorare data. But the one thing that I would add for this budget is more investments, because you'll have more cash to be able to do so. With this, you're likely going to have a few more failures, but you'll hopefully have a few more successes too, and you should start to see your account growing. Obviously, do your research and don't be stupid with your money. If you're not willing to potentially lose it from these investments, then don't put it on here at all. Because of course, with this being based on real life football, there are risks involved. But the one thing that I would add is in the Academy section, we're going to be doing something a little bit different than just using common cards. You'll see here in the Academy divisions, there's actually tiers now to the way that it works. You'll start off in the Academy Novice division, and then as you complete challenges, you'll find yourself moving into higher ranks each time. For example, to get out of Novice, you need 100 points in total for your team, and you need to score more than 50 points with one certain card. You'll see in the Novice section that if you get 400 points, you'll get a tier 3 limited card. However, if we eventually get all the way to the advanced section, let's say, you can see here you're also able to potentially get tier 2 and tier 1 limited, so it's certainly worth getting involved with. But the reason that I'm bringing this up in the budget video is because you can actually have limited cards in your academy teams. You can only have a certain amount of them. You can see here in this division you're allowed a maximum of 1 limited. Eventually you'll get to the point where you're allowed 2, and as you can see their score gets increased by 40% compared to your standard common cards. There's another great Sorare YouTuber out there called John Nellis, and he brought up the point that these common cards are very, very important, but you don't want to be buying the guys that get 30-40 points each week. You want to be going for the cheaper limiteds, the ones that sometimes get 0 points but on other weeks have the potential to maybe get a 90, a 100 if they get a few decisives. You're then going to be hoping that the stars align one week and your 3 common cards get say 60 points each. You're then going to be looking at a nice value already of like 180. Then hopefully your 2 limiteds can pick up 60 points each, let's say. That's 120 points. But then because they're limited, that combined 120 points from them will be upgraded by 40%. I've just done the maths and that will get you about 168 points. Add on the 180 that the common cards got you, and you'll be looking at 348 points in that week. That'll put you in the star common bracket. You've then got a chance of getting your Mbappes, your Haalands, your Neymars, your Vinicius Juniors, your Kimmiches. These are the guys that are going to pick you up very high scores, and eventually you'll hopefully get to the point where you've acquired a few of these star commons there alongside your limited that have the potential to get very high points. And before you know it, these cards together might be getting you rewards of actual rarity and value. And that's awesome from the common divisions because it never really used to be like that. It was really on super duper one-off occasions that you might have a chance of doing this. But you can see there's a method here that you can follow whilst also doing your trading in that £100 budget region to start hopefully earning some cards and earning some cash on Sorare and having a great time with it. I know there would be the argument to say that with that £100 budget you could build a decent limited team to compete in the limited divisions, but for me I think it's going to be very tough to win things and win cards with those cards. Don't get me wrong, if you put that £100 into a singular team in limited, they might have a chance to get you some rewards. But I think it does make more sense to actually invest that into cards, and you're more likely to see a potential profit out of it than you would with a pretty strung together limited team, probably of a lot of stragglers that together might not be able to do too much. Again, that's just my opinion, and you might be able to find great value for £100 and make a mega team that does really well. I just think it's quite unlikely with the price of goalkeepers. But at the end of the day, Sorare is a platform for you guys to have fun, so you do what you think is best. I'm just giving my suggestions, and now we'll move on to the next tier of budget when you're talking about multiple hundreds of pounds, anywhere between £100 and £500 that you have to invest in the platform. You can start to do a little bit more. You'll now be at the point where you're able to buy some pretty good limited squads. You might be able to get a stack from a certain club, maybe AZ Alkmaar, maybe Wolfsburg. That's what I went for originally. You'll see in my Champion Europe section, I bought a lot of Wolfsburg players, and the same in Challenger Europe, I bought an AZ Alkmaar stack amongst a few other guys too. It's a pretty big margin of error from £100 to £500, but you've just got to play it by ear and do what you think's best. But what I would really suggest is not spreading yourself too thin. It's very tempting to make 5 teams that cost £100 to put in all the different divisions, because you're thinking in theory that gives you more chances of winning rewards, right? You might have an Asian team, a Champion Europe team, a Challenger Europe team, an All-Star Limited team. There's loads you could do, but for that value, it will be quite hard to get cards together to win rewards. It can certainly be done, but I think you'd be best off not spreading yourself thin, maybe buying 2 teams, maybe even 1 of very high quality. I think making stacks is the best way to go, so buying a lineup from a full team. For example here, if I was going into a game week and Wolfsburg had an easy matchup, you'd be seeing Castells, Lacroix, Baku, Arnold and the Mecha all on the field in one go in the hopes of winning me a reward. That way, Wolfsburg might lose and I get no points at all, but if Wolfsburg win 5-0, let's say, there's a good chance my players are involved and I come out with some pretty good scores. So I would suggest at this budget point, yes, still do your investments. You could even get involved in investing in the next tier up in rare cards. But if you have enjoyed the casual and the academy divisions up to that point and you want to get involved in the SO5s, I think this is the best way to go. Personally, I'd make some investments on cards for say £100 of your budget, and then the rest of it invest in one or two very good limited sides that you're hoping will do the business for you on any given game week. And over the course of a season, will hopefully pick you up a few rewards. I've been doing it since the start of this year with my Wolfsburg and my AZ Alkmaar teams. I've managed to pick up a few cards, nothing crazy so far, but I managed to get this guy from the Eredivisie from my AZ team. That's Laros Duarte, who isn't a bad player at all, and also an under 23 defender by the name of Alex Bangura playing for SC Kaber. He plays in the Eredivisie too, and whilst they're not crazy cards, they're certainly something, and it's fun when you do get one of those rewards. Again, I will reiterate though, there is no one single game plan to follow. These are just my suggestions, but make sure whenever you do, you're signed up with an affiliate link, preferably mine, in the description, and you're doing your research before splurging on cards. When I first started on the game, I made so many poor decisions and I'm still living with them now. Brian Linson, I'm looking at you. Some of them you can't avoid. Niakate going to Forest and getting injured, for example. When I signed him, he was a very good Mines player. With the world of football, it's very unpredictable, but do your research and give yourself the best chance when you're going into your investments and building your limited teams. And now for my final budget. If you have somewhere around £1,000 or more to get involved in Sorare, the chances are if you're investing that much money into the game, you already know what you're going to do with it and you don't need me telling you. It's a great chunk of money to invest in the platform. I would still invest in cards, but maybe instead of limiteds, I'd dip in to a few rare cards because the chances of profits are much higher with rare cards, but that is on a seesaw because it also means that the losses could be greater as well. So you really need to be sure about your investments when doing this and be prepared for the fact that it might not always go well. I'd also be making some very good limited teams, and depending on how much of a budget you've got, maybe you start getting involved in creating a rare team to hit the thresholds week in, week out. For a good, consistent rare team, you will be looking at £1,000 upwards all in, unless you do your research really well and manage to find a £10 goalkeeper that ends up being a starter for his side. But for example, in my rare team, you might have seen him, I've got Rene Svete. He is one of the cheapest goalkeepers who plays regularly, and even he costs a good £400 odd to get started. So add on your other players to that, and it is a pretty significant investment. So just be aware before you get in the rare threshold teams what you'll be getting yourself into. I'd also try and craft some very good limited sides, as I mentioned, and start investing in rare players, whether that be injured players, wonder kids that you think might be good in the future. Either one are great ideas if you can get it right and can lead to some great profits. Of course, make sure you're having fun and using the methods that you prefer the most. You might have £1,000 but only want to do the investing. You might have £100 and not want to do any investing and just play the SO5. You do you, and you have fun on the platform, of course. Now, in this video, we've briefly covered all the different budget tiers I could think of, but if you want me to go in depth about any of them, let me know in the comments. This was more an overview as opposed to a detailed dive on what to do at every single budget point and how to do it properly. If you do want a video going into purely investments or purely threshold teams, whatever it might be, let me know down below. Don't forget to like the video if you found it useful. I've been Jake, this is my Sorare channel, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you and goodbye.